Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. I hope everyone is doing good, inshallah. So, jazakallah khair, everyone, for joining in, inshallah, which hopefully shortly you will be, as inshallah we start sharing the feeds. So, I will be requesting everyone, as usual, to start sharing the feeds. Just a little bit of background to the show. So, mashallah, we have now this fourth show, which is taking place after. You can say this entire month. So this is we started way back, in early August. This particular series, where we have covered kind of the theoretical side of entrepreneurship. Then we went into the success stories, some failures, and then eventually we moved over to various segments as to how the various industries, segments, what type of entrepreneurship is actually taking place within these particular segments, what type of niches have been developed within these particular segments. So today's show, inshallah, is going to be very exciting, as usual, with regards to particular focus on education and training. So as usual, I will be again requesting everyone to be, inshallah, start sharing the feeds that everyone can benefit, inshallah. And then we can move on. So just a little bit of introduction to our speakers for today, or the panelists for today. So we have Brother Muhammad Faisal. Mashallah, he is a very highly qualified individual, having done his degrees from various reputed universities. And, I've shared, obviously, his profile with most of you. And mashallah, the core kind of the focus for today for us is going to be the platform An-Nafi, and we'll be speaking about that brilliant platform which was launched, I think now almost 1.5 years or maybe 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Then we have Brother Qamar Sheraz. He is joining us from Pakistan, mashallah. And Brother Qamar, mashallah, he has been a top trainer in Pakistan in the corporate sector for a number of years, having his degree in marketing, and has been dealing in the education and training space again for quite a long time. So Brother Qamar, mashallah, he has launched his training platform, which is called Trainers Tribe, which inshallah is going to be going on a full launch in September. So this is kind of the introduction to the speakers. So as usual, like I said, let's start, inshallah, benefiting the individuals. I understand that most of you guys might be kind of tired because of the fast, Shura fast today. So I'm expecting maybe a slightly lower attendance today. So inshallah, let's start. So again, guys, those of you who are joining in the Middle East, please make sure that you have your relevant teenagers specifically in attendance today, because we will be going into some details as to what are the opportunities available specifically for them. Okay, so Brother Faisal, if I may start with you. Can you please elaborate a little bit about your venture? How did you perceive this venture? How did you come about Al-Nafi, etc.?
Mukhaz, are you asking me the question, or because I can't hear you clearly?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me clearly?
Your voice is slightly breaking. You got disconnected a little while back, but it's kind of working.
Okay. Is it working now?
It's not very clear, but it's kind of edible. Yeah, not edible, but yeah, we can.
Okay, so let's do that. So start with Qamar, and I will log out and I will log back in. I think there might be some kind of browser issue or something.
Let's start with Brother Qamar.
You can start with Qamar, and then I will answer that question, inshallah.
Sure.
Okay. So let me restart something. Okay.
Sure.
Hold on. Accept my sincere apologies for
this. Yeah. Yes, Brother Qamar.
Yes.
Same question to you.
Okay. First of all, thank you so very much, Nokes, for inviting me to the show. Mashallah, you are doing a great work, and I wish you all the best in the work that you are doing. So I believe your question was how did I came up with the idea that I've launched Trainers Tribe. So it was back in 2018, my 7th year into learning and development industry, when I was meeting HR people, doing business development for the training services and pitching them my training products. Now, while doing that, I felt a pain so much effort in marketing, business development, and reaching out to the right client. And not only that, but I've also witnessed the pain from the other side as well, from the company side as well, trying to reach out to the right trainer for their learning needs. So I thought to myself how this pain can be addressed and what could be the solution. So it was then when I perceived the idea of Trainers Tribe, which is a centralized platform for trainers and companies. I bought the domain trainerstribe.co back in September 2018 and made a commitment with myself
MashaAllah.
that by January 2020, I will start working full time on it. So it's been 7, 8 months down the line. We already have our beta product ready. We already have 20 top tier trainers on board with us and companies as well. And we are launching in September. So what basically this is doing is bridging the gap between trainers and companies. So they both can, get connected with each other. So that's what the Trainers Tribe is all about. And this is how I perceive the idea of Trainers Tribe.
MashaAllah, excellent. And obviously, as we were discussing just prior to the show, now there are a lot of kind of training organizations which are working within Pakistan. So how is Trainers Tribe going to be difficult? Not difficult, but different from them?
Okay, so Trainers Tribe is not a content provider. It's not a training service provider organization. So it is just helping to connect the service content providers with those who need those content. So we are just bridging the gap. And there's no other organization like Trainers Tribe in Pakistan right now, although so many people have thought about this idea, but no one took the first step. So I took the first step, and Alhamdulillah, with the effort of combined effort of all the team members, and obviously with the help of our mentors, we have built this platform, and inshallah, we hope that it will contribute significantly to the learning and development industry of Pakistan.
No, mashallah, to be honest, Kani, I've been outside Pakistan for quite a long time now, but I've been following kind of the corporate space within Pakistan, and I've seen the growth of the training industry within Pakistan, mashallah. In fact, I'm proud to say that Pakistan's training industry, to be honest, is really at par with at least the Middle Eastern training organizations, or even in a lot of ways, even more enhanced. The kind of the quality of training, the skill set which is there, it is actually way more than what I've seen for the type of training being provided in the Middle East. So mashallah, this is some great work, some great areas which have been developed by different training organizations. Now, before we kind of, wait for Brother Faisal to join in again, basically from a training perspective, what I've observed is that a lot of the focus of trainers has been kind of the motivational aspect of training. So what is your focus going to be within the corporate domain?
Okay. So because it's been 8 years, I've also been a trainer as well. And there's a thin line between motivation and inspiration. Even the motivation comes from within, not from any external sources. Although there are two kinds of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. But I'm more inclined towards inspiration, inspired, in spirit. So something that comes from within. So the role of a trainer, I believe, is to spark that thing which is inside of that person. So that it eventually comes from within of that person, because it's a simple example of an egg. If you break it from outside, the life ends, but if it's broken from the inside, life begins. So it's just a simple method to start getting inspired from within.
Okay, mashallah, this is really great, because obviously a lot of times obviously people do not really know themselves and the hidden gems which are inside a person. So obviously there's a need to really inspire those individuals to bring out the best out of them. Sorry, I'll just try to bring in Brother Faisal back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is better now?
Yeah, inshallah. Yeah, I hope it works, inshallah. So we were just discussing with Brother Qamar with regards to his training domain. So Brother Faisal, coming back to you, the same question where we started. How did you perceive An-Nafi? And if you can talk a little bit about the venture, how you started, inshallah. Yes, Brother Faisal. Hello? No, I think he's kind of stuck. His video is, no, he's there. Yes, Brother Faisal, can you hear us? Oops, second. Try to, yeah, can you hear us, Brother Faisal? Oops. I think he's Brother Faisal. You're there? Okay. I think we'll have to probably try to join with the LAN connection, brother. If you can hear me, if someone can pass, if your team is listening, then if someone can please pass him the message that he needs to join by a LAN connection.
Back in 2000.
No, brother. Okay, I'll have to remove him from the stream. Okay, Brother Qamar, I'll just give me guys 1 second. I'll have to send him a text. We can't hear him. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So coming back to the training again, once now. Within all of this particular question is not really relevant to kind of the corporate training sphere of Pakistan. But I would like to actually delve a little bit into the culture, specifically nowadays when everything literally is online. And gradually, obviously, things are opening up, and after COVID-19, obviously, things are kind of stabilizing. But still, I think the same kind of atmosphere has not gained momentum with regards to the physical training space because of the restriction of social kind of distancing. So do you think that this particular platform will more be physical, or this is going to be more online, or how it's going to work?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question, Nokesh. Because of COVID-19, physical trainings, classroom training, they came to a standstill. And what happened during that period? All the trainers who were just into this industry for the sake of generating business, seeing the lucrative revenues from this industry, so they were wiped out from this industry. This is the main thing that happened during COVID-19. And the real trainers, the genuine trainers who really are creating the impact, they are the one who are still surviving. And these trainers, what I have seen is still creating impact through online Zoom trainings and through other technology tools. But now I've got the insight that organizations are slowly and steadily moving back to the classroom training. In fact, in the last 2-3 weeks, there have been many classroom trainings conducted all across Pakistan, in Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad. So I predict that within next 4 to 6 months, everything will come back to normal, because in our culture, we are not really used to online training and having no human connection, because the connection that you feel in a classroom training, you cannot really create it via this online stuff. So that's what I predict, and that's what I think, that within 4 to 6 months, everything will come back to the normal thing.
Inshallah, and I hope, inshallah, may Allah, protect everyone from this, and we are able to go back to the kind of the so-called normal lives. But let's see what is the new normal. Let's see how it works, inshallah. Now, obviously, Brother Qamar, there are a number of other spaces as well within the industry, like, for example, the online training platforms like Udemy, like Teachable, etc., which are kind of the major teaching platforms or the training platforms which are providing technical training, and you name it, you name it. And for example, Udemy has all types of courses. I was listening to the CEO of Teachable, and there are more than 130,000 courses now which are available on Teachable, which is just literally amazing. So how do you foresee kind of a niche of a new entrant? Obviously, you're particularly focusing on Pakistan, but if I kind of extend the scope of online training, So do you see another niche within training and education, online training and education being developed?
Yes. Obviously, I do see, and this is something very debatable over the last couple of years. I've also discussed it with my mentors. What is the future of learning and development? Whether it will be completely online or whether there will still be a part of the physical training as well. And a lot of my mentors, which includes Kamran Rizvi and Keser Abbas, what they have said that the human element will always remain there, right? So there will not be a major difference or a gap between online and the physical training. Although because of COVID-19, we all human beings are pushed towards the boundary of our to get out of our comfort zone and to adopt technology in ways that we have never imagined before. But if you look in the bigger picture, that's what I also believe, that the human connection, the physical, the classroom training will also remain there. Besides these online courses like Teachable and Udemy. So what my mentor said is that there will be a ratio like 60-40, maybe 70-30, and then it will come back to 50-50, and then 60-40. There will be always remain the ratio like this between classroom and online trainings.
Hmm. Okay, that's quite interesting. That's really interesting. So do we actually say, because obviously this series is based on entrepreneurship. So, and Brother Faisal unfortunately cannot still join us, but if he, or maybe he has, let's see if he can. I think he's joined from his phone. Mashallah, excellent, Brother Faisal.
Yes, now.
I think I'm having some issues. Even though I was using a LAN connection, it was still having some problems. Okay.
Oh, subhanallah, no issues. Okay, so yeah, I'll leave it to you because we have been speaking, quite a fair bit in the last 17, 18 minutes. So I'll leave it to you to kind of restart again, please.
Okay, so accept my sincere apologies for the delay. So back in 2008, when I moved from UK over to US, I got married, and in 2006. And at that time, my wife was doing her med school in the States. She completed that by 2008, and then she started her residency. So I moved over here, in the US. I was living in Cleveland, Ohio, LeBron James State. In those days, he was still playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was at that time I was going to Stanford University, and I was attending a class by one of the professors from NASA. His name was Tariq. He was from Egypt, and he was a NASA program manager, right? And he was talking about how he's using the power of internet in terms of connecting the scientists all over the world globally, in terms of sharing information, training them, so on and so forth. At that time, I was thinking what if we can create a platform where Muslims from all over the world, from within the OIC countries, the Organization of Islamic, if they can connect together and they can learn things not like primarily in English per se, but specifically in their own languages, right? Because the barrier to success is the language barrier. Not everyone can communicate effectively in English because it's not the level 1 language, the mother tongue or something. So this is what creates a caste system within the societies, right? So I realized if we can do that, so I started working on it. And at that time I was working then I got a job and I was working in Los Angeles and living in Pasadena, and I was traveling back and forth to Ohio every Friday, spending time. And during those flights, during those long Delta Air flights, I was chalking the plan, what I need to do, how I need to do, what kind of investment does it require. So I started gathering the funds, and the time when I had $1 million funding of my own, I went to Sequoia Capital, venture capitalist firm, because I used to work over there. And I said, I have this idea. I want to train all the OIC citizens, right, in their own local languages, all the emerging technologies. So my partner, to whom I used to report, he said, I'm willing to invest in that idea. Because everyone sees the OIC countries as the next domain in terms of like profitability and so on and so forth. I realized like if he is willing to put his money, right, why shouldn't I put my money? Because like I was kind of like scared at that time. I said, okay, I have this money, I've gathered this halal funds. Now what should I do, right? And I consulted with him, Eric Granger, it was his name. I consulted with him. I said, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. What should I do? He said, you know what, if I would have been in your place, I would have invested this, because this is a phenomenal idea. You should work into it. So I did istikhara, and I kept on doing istikhara. In 2014, I registered the company, right? And I started working on it. I started making out the plans, started getting the band together of all the brothers, because there were some brothers that were in UK, some brothers were in States.
Yeah.
I was in Canada. So I moved to Canada in 2012. And, my wife started her own practice. So I had a lot of wiggle room, and I was working as a CISO over here. And I realized, this is the time that I need to do something. So I have some peace of mind. And I called in my parents to stay and come with us and live with us, and so that they can take care of the kids, and I started, right? And I left my job, earning $60,000 on a monthly basis. I left it, and I said, I'm going to do something about it. And I, jumped in full force. So I, got together Rihanul Haq, who was working as the head of IT governance in UK in BMI Group. I got Amir Majid. He's working in Verizon as the managing consultant of the EMEA region. I got together like Ishraq Ansari. He was working at Cambridge University as a CFO in their robotics lab. So Muhammad Ali from Qatar, he was working over there in the Interior Ministry. I got all of these guys together and said, and I was talking with these guys for quite some time. We need to do something. We need to start something, because when I was in the madrasa in those days in Maulana Karachi, right? I used to talk about education all the time, because this is the motivation I got from one of the when I was spending some time in the Jamaat, right? So when I was like in UK, I used to go in the Jamaat, and I used to give dawah, like, guys, you need to study, you need to do bachelor's, you need to do master's, you need to get some skills so that you can get a good job, settle down, so on and so forth. And people used to tell me, like, we are here to remind each other of Allah. Why are you giving dawah in terms of education? I said, look, all of these guys are here because they are looking for halal tayyib rizq, right?
Yeah.
And we need to tell them something, rather than these guys working in chicken shops and laundry shops and whatnot. Why not they study somewhere so that they can settle down, right? And they can be successful. More than 200 people who listen to me, out of thousands of them, they have been very successful. Some of them are working as head of IT governance. Some of them are working as CIOs, as CISOs. Some of them even have, bypassed me in terms of success, right? So, the model worked, because the ummah, what the ummah needs is education, and not only like the normal education, but the best education possible, right? So I left everything in 2018, and I started working full time. 2018 June, we started the project. Now this is 2020. We're going in. When we started with Pakistan, because it was this is we belong to, right? So we said, okay, we should start from there. We started in Urdu. We started teaching in Urdu, and then we gradually did Pashto, because I'm from Peshawar, from Peshawar, right? So I started doing that as well, and then gradually, we added Arabic. Now we have French, Spanish, Bangla, Gujarati, and a couple of other languages in the pipeline, right? So there are 8 languages now. Our platform is a multilingual platform. And now we have, mashallah, we created a department of AI and data science, where Dr. Dishan Usmani came and joined us, right? For the social sciences, the first one to join us was Dr. Asad Zaman. He doesn't need any introduction. He went to MIT and Stanford in the 70s when we were in our diapers, right? In those days.
In those days, there were no diapers. I think our mother used to put on, only the lungi, called just the, the thing without it. So yeah.
Yeah, like some minutes for that, we were just doing free willy, right? At the time. Like, so these guys, so he's a very phenomenal person, Dr. Asad Zaman. He gave me lots of ideas. But the intent of Anafe was to make education as cheap as possible, as economical as possible for the OIC countries. We are not specifically geared towards Western countries because over there they have everything. Right?
Yeah, and they have a more of a corporate model. You don't have that kind of a corporate model.
For us, it's the CSR. I would say it's the biggest CSR project, corporate social responsibility, right? The idea, the blueprint that we are following is from Umar bin Khattab radhiyallahu ta'ala and Uthman Ghani radhiyallahu ta'ala. And what we did was basically we invested 50% of the profit in the waqf, right?
MashaAllah.
What we had, and then I installed some of these scholars, and I started becoming a Salafi scholar myself because I left the Jamaat long time ago because of the indifferences I had with them.
No, that's okay. Let's not go there. Let's go.
But it was like the education part was something that I always, right? That was my focus. Day one, and these scholars right now we have scholars from Mufti Taqi Usmani who are in our board. We have scholars like I would go out on a limb and call Dr. Asad Zaman a scholar, a very learned person, right? And he guides us in terms of what we need to do and how we need to move through and navigate. And he hails from Tablighi Jamaat, right? MashaAllah. So we have Sheikh al-Quran, Sheikh Muhamad from Jamia al-Azhar who joined us, right? So I mean, from all denominations, pretty much.
Alhamdulillah.
We have people sitting in our project, and we are working in education. We started with emerging technologies, but now we are working with OL levels and A-level schools as well that we just recently opened. And the new project that we are kicking off from Monday onwards is we are going to open a school which will be certified by the Canadian Education Ministry, and be issuing Ontario High School diploma, basically, right?
Very good, mashallah. This is high school?
This is high school, 9, 10, 11.
Wonderful.
Right?
Wonderful.
Which is widely accepted and everywhere in the world, right? So there's a ton of things going on, but alhamdulillah, so far when we started, I started with $1 million, but now the firm has grown, and we have more than 1,500 affiliates working for us, a full-time staff, and the faculty that we have is more than 25 people now. I mean, things are growing, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. Brother, may Allah reward you obviously for your thoughts, because it's at the end of the day, it's the thought which really counts. And mashallah, the greater the level of thought one has, the greater, inshallah, the inspiration for the individuals working within that particular area and the domain to kind of go with that particular thought process. So may Allah reward you for that. That is excellent, because brothers and sisters, whoever has been listening to during the last kind of 8-9 minutes, this is again for all of us to really reflect, because we, this particular show is about Muslim entrepreneurship. So all the way from thinking to ideology to how actually Muslim entrepreneurship needs to really work on the ideas which have to be behind kind of the thought process which has to come forth. Now, there is no restriction on making profits, by the way. We are not saying do not make profits. Make a killing, make such a profit that no one else ever has. No one is denying that. But at the end of the day, the thought process, the intention, the niyyah, as we say, needs to be correct. So, brother Qamar, coming back to where we kind of stopped, the Udemy and the Teachable discussion. Now, if we may ask again, Brother Faisal, because he has just joined in again, that brother, this Teachable and Udemy platforms. Now, mashallah, what we've seen is that these are kind of very popular platforms. So, do you intend to bring in additional kind of trainers within the domain to kind of grow, or do you want to have people, which are firmly embedded within the let's say the culture of Al-Nafi? How do you want to evolve Al-Nafi now?
So, our primary objective is not to become a marketplace like Udemy or Coursera or edX now. Our primary objective is to bring back, the primary objective is to bring back the days when the Muslims, we used to excel, and we were the ones who brought biology, chemistry, alchemy, mathematics, and all these kinds of disciplines, right? The West was in the dark ages at that time. They came to us, they learned all of these things, they went back. Now they infuse it with other things, and now, they went forward, but Muslims were left behind because of various reasons, right? Political, geopolitical, so on and so forth. Our goal is to make sure that no one can monopolize on education. That's the primary thing, right? So our focus is right now we are in the process of becoming a school, right? As I said, we opened a Cambridge Academy, which is like in 2,400 rupees, which is like $20. For overseas, it's $50. For Pakistanis, if they want to pay with
that is just to make it clear, yeah.
Yeah, just to make sure we can pay the salaries of we can take out the platform expense and we can pay the salaries of the teachers, right? And we have integrated Brillium, which is the assessment platform, world-class platform used by Oxford. We have, we are about to integrate like $1 million Labster, right, which provides everyone to do their, basically lab testing, all those kind of things in a virtual setting, right? So that's the same kind of things which I use at Harvard and MIT and Stanford and all these top schools. So what we want to do is we want to make education as easily accessible as possible and as conveniently as possible. Like in Pakistan, if you think about it, we started from Pakistan, like the main schooling. The education is extremely expensive. Qamar is over there in Karachi. You're in Karachi, right? Right. So if when I used to drive, whenever I go to Karachi and I'm driving, I start counting schools on the road, right? And I see by the time the road finishes, right, I have already counted like 72, 73 schools. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, what exactly is happening, right? And then I started asking, how much is the fee? The lower end starts at, 2,500 to 4,000 rupees, something like that. The upper end, ends at 100,000 rupees, almost like $1,000 and stuff. And I was like, what exactly is happening? So we did a lot of research. All of us data scientists and AI guys, we started gathering facts. How can we, resolve this issue? If you look at the households in Pakistan, what they have is that in every house, normally on average, there are 4 kids. 2 is the bare minimum, right? Everyone. I would have had 7 kids myself, but 5 of them took them away. But if you imagine if there are 4 kids or even 2 kids, and if you have to send them to a school, like a medium level school, you have to pay easily, 25,000 rupees.
Yeah.
All the disposable income is going towards the fees only. Then there are other things that they have to worry about, the books, and other things. So I've been doing homeschooling. When I lost 5 of my kids, I started, we realized, we have something. So I jumped in and I did a lot of research. Again, there was a big MIT and Stanford community, and all of the doctors and engineers and lawyers, and they were doing, homeschooling. So we realized, oh, by the way, like more than 65 million people in North America does homeschooling. So why not do it, right? Now everyone is doing homeschooling anyway, right? So we realized that if we can create a model and offer that in Pakistan and in the OIC countries, why not make education as easily and economically as possible? So we started with this new school, launched on 1st of August. We have, hundreds of people right now being registered and studying. We are about to launch a big marketing campaign to bring everyone. You don't have to buy any books. You don't have to buy any notes. You don't have to buy anything, right? You just subscribe. You need to have an internet connection and a desktop or a laptop, and then you can start studying. That's it. That's all you need. We provide you notes, examination papers, MCQs. You do this all within the portal because we spend $1 billion in terms of building that portal, right?
Yeah, the infrastructure and everything.
Right? Alhamdulillah. So now that's one thing. So our goal at Nafi, not to become a marketplace like Udemy. What we want to do is we want to become an academy where kids can come in 9, 10, 11, 12, right? While they're studying, we are also molding their iman, right? We are grooming them in terms of being intellectuals, like Muslim intellectuals, right? Who can basically, if they stand on a podium, they can challenge anyone, right? Or if they're being challenged, they're able to answer back. right, properly. So that's what we did, alhamdulillah. And now we also submitted our papers into UK NARIC for opening our university, which has been principally approved, alhamdulillah. So we are about to open that, and then we will start offering BSc and MSc degrees in the emerging disciplines only, because we have the number of PhDs on our board and everything is already there. So our goal is to become a one-stop shop for Muslims within the OIC countries, Muslims and non-Muslims, all the global citizens of the OIC countries. Okay? We have a lot of non-Muslims, by the way, who still, we don't say no to them, because, like when the Quran came, "Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, khalaqa al-insana min alaq." I mean, like the scholars, Imam Kasir says, like, Muslims came to this world to read and write, right?
Yeah.
To follow Ati Allah wa Ati Rasul, follow Allah and His last prophet, right? And implement the Sharia. These are the only three things we have to do.
Yeah.
That's what, that is our goal. We want to instill the Islamic values, the Islamic ideology, and the Western, not the Western sciences. I will call it these journal sciences, right? These are not Western sciences.
Yeah. At the end of the day.
Mathematics, science, chemistry, biology, geography, all of these things basically, so that they are competitive. Whenever they go on a global stage, they can represent themselves, they can represent Islam, and they can be a very good, good global citizens, right? That's our goal. That's where we are going towards.
MashaAllah, excellent. Now that's really great to hear. Again, like I said, may Allah put barakah, inshallah, in your efforts in the teams which you are aspiring to. Now, Brother Qamar, now coming to you, we have been discussing kind of your initial phases of your kind of the trainers tribes and the model. How did you come up with that operating model? Because we want to actually explain to the people that how do you, within the education and training space, how do you perceive the operating model? You mentioned, I think, some of your mentors, but how did you actually come about doing it practically?
Okay, so that's an interesting question, Nokesh. But before answering the question, I would like to say to Muhammad Faisal that I'm very much inspired from your story and the way that you have, been determined throughout these years and created this platform, Al Nafi. And mashallah, what a great vision! And I wish you all the best for the future of Al Nafi and the work that you are doing. So now coming back to the question, Nokesh. So what we are doing right now in our beta product is helping companies to post their requests for proposals on which trainers will be able to submit their proposals. So this is already happening, but in a very unsystematic way, and it's very time consuming for companies, and again a very limited outreach for the proposals that the companies receive, and it's a manual process, and it's a very costly process as well. So what we are doing is helping companies to save time, effort, and cost in this process of shortlisting the right trainer for their learning needs. And in our beta project 2 weeks ago, we did this demonstration of how companies will be able to post requests for proposals and then be able to invite the trainers of their choice. And the other trainers will also be able to see those requests for proposals, and then they will apply on that, and they will also bid. And the companies will have all the proposals in one single dashboard. And through that, companies can easily shortlist and book the right trainer very easily. So that's what we are doing in our beta product. So that's our first stage. So this is going to go on till December 2020 this year. And after December, our stage 2 will begin. And what we are doing in stage 2 is that companies will be able to directly book an appointment with the trainer. So 15 minutes free consulting appointment to discuss their learning project. And then they will also be able to book them directly through the platform for their 1 day, 2 day, or a week-long intervention. And then in the third stage, starting from third or maybe the fourth quarter of next year, we will also start taking on board consultants, coaches, speakers, advisors, mentors as well on the platform. And on the other side, we will take on board individuals professionals maybe who are looking for a life coach or a mentor, and also the students who are looking for maybe a career coach or a
Yeah.
mentor, and also the startups who are looking for advisors. So what we foresee is going into different product lines for different type of audiences in the future. But we are starting off with this product, beta product. So that's what our offering is.
No, mashallah, that's really interesting. And I think there is actually a great need within Pakistan, as we were discussing, I think, with Dr. Shahid Qureshi a couple of weeks back on the show as well, that, there are incubators within Pakistan as well for startups, but people are not really aware. We need to actually have these incubators within not only the major cities, but, we need to take them to even the remote districts. And this is what we are trying to do, within our domain as well, is to reach out to individuals, try to find individuals which are working. Last week we had Dr. Imran Khan of IBA, who is actually involved in startups, kind of micro startups within Pakistan. So that will really be great, that if you're able to connect, these kind of mentors within the startup domain, and maybe even, connect the incubators within these particular, with the trainers themselves, or with the mentors themselves, to actually reach out to the far-flung areas of Pakistan. And obviously the language barrier is not going to be there, it's going to be there, kind of the local languages. So that's really, really great to hear. Now, coming back to you, Brother Faisal, now, what has been kind of your go-to market? Because what I have seen is that, mashallah, without literally any marketing, and I would say literally any marketing, maybe you have done some marketing, I'm not aware, to be honest, but you have grown rapidly, mashallah. Now, but what we would like to see is that as you have mentioned, that you are just about to kind of launch this marketing campaign. Where do you see this kind of the marketing campaign kind of heading?
Before I answer that question, Qamar was saying something about RFPs, right? The RFP submission platform that he has created. I would advise, Qamar, there are a lot of companies who struggle through the RFP process, right? So I think it's a great platform. I mean, personally, I haven't seen in the West a platform like this, where a company has requirements, they can go outside and they can say, we have these requirements. All the vendors, all the MSPs, the MSSPPs, the managed security service providers, and everyone, you can bid for it, right? And in a centralized manner, so that we can receive. I mean, as a CISO, as a CIO, I used to receive all of these RFPs in front of me in a manual form, and I should go through them one by one, right? I think it's a great platform, and if you can extend this somehow to the West, it's a pain point, right, where companies go through, and you can use automation and a couple of other things to make this into a phenomenal product. Anyway, that was just my CIO coming out and telling you something. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, for us, it's like our key objective is to, we are right now marketing our Spanish courses in all of Latin America and South America. And all of these are emerging science technology courses in computer science and data science and AI and all of these things. Similarly, we are doing this. We are about to do this for Bangladesh and all the other, Bengali-speaking countries as well. Predominantly, the Bengalis, they are all over the world, especially in UK. So when I was living over there, there's a ton of Bangladeshi people, right? And if you go to Tablighi Jamaat, it's all of, these are the guys who are running, most of the burden, right? So it's a phenomenal, Muslims over there. And then our third target is basically, Gujarati speaking Muslims and Gujarati speakers, like Muslims, non-Muslims, whatever. We have basically Indonesians, Turkish, so on and so forth. Arabic is a huge community of more than 50 million to 400 million people speak Arabic as their level 1 language. So what we do is we start with a campaign of $5,000 to $10,000 through Facebook. That's what we do. We run different campaigns, different videos to spread the awareness. Facebook is a primary medium predominantly used by OIC global citizens throughout the world, even in the West. Then we also use Google Analytics in terms of spreading up. But recently we have seen that what we have seen is that we started developing our own ambassador network. The ambassador networks these are the guys who are our students, right? And they become word of mouth.
The word of mouth is the greatest one. Yeah.
So they become testimonials, right? So they are walking testimonials for us. So they go out and then they start spreading the word. And this is where like we have developed our own affiliate system, where like we reward everyone 10% of the sales. So there have been people who earned $4,000, $5,000, $7,000 a month from us in terms of bringing in the business and getting 10% out of it, right? So you can imagine like, what these guys were doing. And all these guys were doing was they were just going out. And by the way, more than 80% of our subscribers, they study for free because they can't pay. Because in the OIC, the population is more than 2 billion, 2 billion Muslims, non-Muslims combined. But like not all of them can pay, right? So we do have a Sadhaka Fund. We don't take any money from outside. No, this is a strict policy. We don't take any Sadhaka, Zakat, Khairat. No, we don't do that. We have our own Sadhaka Fund, Sadhaka Jariya Fund. And this is where like we invest, 50% of the investment back into the company and say, anyone who wants to tap the Sadhaka Fund, if Sadhaka is applicable on them, they can go ahead and they can accept it. And that's where like many people, like for example, all the Palestinians are studying for all the Syrians, because they are going through very harsh conditions right now. A majority of Tunisians and Algerians and all of these people, when they come to us, we say, can you pay the fee? They say, no, we cannot pay the fee, but we want to study. We say, okay, Bismillah, you can do that. So that's but right now, what we have realized is that we have to shift, because we have been experimenting with this whole marketing, strategy, so on and so forth. What works in the West doesn't specifically works in the OIC, because if you want to do and implement a strategy as things are done in the West, it won't fly. Like for example, in Pakistan, if you want to flood everything on Facebook, people don't take that very seriously. But if you run adverts on TV channels and stuff like that,
it's more authentic. Yeah.
So it has to be a combination, and that's what we're doing. A combination of all of these things. The other thing we're doing is just like, we are about to open our own consultancy, a global consultancy, where like, and this is a marketplace where people can come in and all of our students can start offering their services, right?
That's excellent, yeah.
Just like
kind of Fiverr and Upwork.
Company, who's headquartered in Tel Aviv, by the way, right? So,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. So what we want to do
is an alternative platform. That's
exactly right. So we want to create an alternate platform for the Ummah where they can come in and they can not only educate themselves but also do this. And our main goal is also to become a payment platform, right? A payment platform where people can also do banking and stuff like that. We already have the data, we already have the users, right? So we are spreading that basically. And that's where we want to do, and then so that we can fund our different projects as well, which is part of our charter as well. So
that's marvelous. And I would actually say that if anyone who is listening, on whoever this kind of show reach to, and if you are interested in kind of any of the ventures which Brother Faisal is speaking about, then please reach out to him. His kind of details are available on our NAFE portal. And you are free to, inshallah, reach out to him and offer your services, your advice, or investment, or whatever you want to. I'm just saying it on your behalf, brother. Okay, Brother Qamar. Now, coming to you. Now, basically, from a time management perspective, it's really hard for an entrepreneur to really give time. As Brother Faisal was mentioning, that he had to bring in his parents to look after the family. Now, from your perspective, how is your time? How are you managing your time? You're on mute. You'll have to, yeah. You're on mute, brother. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yes, Nokez, that's a very interesting question, because here in Pakistan, when you go and learn about time management, what they don't teach you is the methods of time management which was taught to us 1400 years ago. and that was divide your time in 3 equal parts of 8 hours each. So that's our Prophet, peace be upon him, used to do. So the first part is allocated for yourself. The second 8 hour part is allocated to your family, and the third one is the work that you are doing. So these 3 equal parts. Now, I'm not saying that I'm strictly following this rule, but I try my level best to stick to this rule of dividing my time into 3 equal parts of 8 hours each. So I believe that's where you start, and that's how you manage your time in the bigger picture. And then when you break it down into smaller parts, you focus on the things which matters to your bigger vision. So whatever you are doing, is it aligned with your bigger vision or not? So one mantra my mentor Yusuf Hussain has taught me, that is to think big but act local. Think big, act small. Think global, act local. So when you are acting small, when you are doing the small stuff, so is it aligned with your vision or not? Are you wasting your time on unnecessary stuff, or you are making it something productive? So that's, I believe, how you can manage your time, and there are many other tools as well to manage your time.
Okay, mashallah. I hope you are successful in management, because so
Yes.
far, to be honest with you, I'm not sure about Brother Faisal. I have failed. I have miserably failed to manage my time appropriately. Although people think that I actually achieve a lot in my time, but still, I personally think that I've miserably failed. So, but that's I actually asked this question to everyone on my show. Maybe I might be able to get some guidance one day, inshallah. Okay. Now, Brother Faisal, you did mention obviously the kind of the upcoming new technologies and the kind of the masters and the bachelors which you are planning to have within those emerging technologies. Now, there was one comment which I've had from a number of people from Middle East, whoever I've spoken to with regards to Anafi, and I thought I'll just relay this comment to you, and which is that a lot of individuals which are not studying in any kind of regular school, then they prefer to do IGCSEs rather than O levels, because the IGCSE track is slightly different, as you're aware, than O levels. So that is something which I thought I'll just relate to you, that if you have any plans, or because there's not a huge difference between O levels and IGCSEs. They're just kind of different boards, but again, there is a difference nevertheless. Okay, so that is kind of a comment. Now, coming to the issues with regards to which you're faced when you have perceived this particular platform, what you think have been your learnings? And Brother Faisal first, and Brother Qamar, I will come to you after that. If you can speak to us a little bit about your learnings, because obviously every project would have hiccups, every project would have difficulties. So if you can speak a little bit about kind of your top 1 or 3 issues which you've had, and how did you overcome those particular issues?
I mean, the biggest challenge we had, when we deployed different projects and whatnot, was finding qualified staff, right? I mean, in the West, I've managed, basically budgets of up to $65-70 million. But like when you, and I've been able to win proposals of $1 billion for the Canadian government when I was working in a telco organization. But one of the biggest objective, the challenge that we had seen is when we opened an office in Pakistan, was like having access to high quality staff, right? Who knows how to manage their time, manage the expectations of the project, and whatnot. One of the things that we've seen is just like, which is very consistently can be seen, is there's a lot of people procrastinate, right? A lot, and they don't divert their energies in a positive manner, like rather wasting a lot of time. So over the years, we have developed that, and now we have been able to develop a system where everyone needs to go through that training process, right? It is still, this is where like Ishraq Ansari, the second founder, has invested a lot of his time in terms of building that. So that's one of the biggest challenge. The Ummah is so demoralized right now that even if they see an opportunity and you pay them very well, they still don't, work. With
Very unfortunate. I totally agree with you.
Yes.
Very, very unfortunate.
This is the problem that we have seen, and then
Yeah.
let people go. In our organization, we have to leave when we have to leave anyone. When we have to say you may go now, we have a policy that we pay them 3 months salary so that they don't struggle in terms of finding the next job, right? But there's a strict rule that we provide them the reference as per their performance. We are not going to sugarcoat anything. We are not going to lie on anything, because that will be injustice to the second person. If Qamar wants to hire someone from Nafi, by the way, the name is An-Nafi. It's we write it Al, but in the Arabic, it's the name, one of the names of Allah. We say An-Nafi, right? So I'm not going to say that the person XYZ was a phenomenal candidate and whatnot. If he has not been able to perform and we have to let him go, we can just say exactly how it was with honesty, that this is what the problem was, and if you can work on this, he's a good candidate, right? So training people, the time management skill, training people, the commitment that they need to give in, so on and so forth, is one of the biggest challenges that we have seen. Otherwise, the processes, policies, the projects, the investment, that is not an issue. Organizations, it's all about people, then it's processes, and then it's technology, right? Organizations tend to invest more on technology. They think that technology will solve everything. No, it's the people.
It's the people. Yeah.
People, and then it's the processes, and then the technology. For example, Allah sent all the Anbiya. When the Anbiyas and the prophets came, they were given the books. Some of them given books, the 4 of them. The rest of them were not, right? That we know of. And then the technology comes afterwards. The technology, in my view, is the Sahabas, right? In Islam. So the Salaf. So you follow that path. In organizations, it's almost people. So you have to invest time in terms of building them up, training them, and that's one of the biggest challenges we have seen. We have now successfully devised a formula, I would say, in terms of like where we are investing. Because if a person comes and there's one guy who's demoralizing other people or is not working properly, other people will learn from him, right?
Yeah, that's the big issue.
And that will delay the whole project significantly. So that's one of the key things, because in the West, people say, and this is a very famous saying, we have seen Islam, but not Muslims. In Muslim countries, we have seen Muslims, it's not Islam. Not like that. Actually, the things that they're following is the same things that we were taught by Rasulullah ﷺ and all the prophets, right? It's all about managing your time, no procrastination, not wasting your time here and there and stuff like that. These are some of the biggest challenges, right? If you focus on that, then the Ummah can revive itself. Otherwise, it's a hard battle.
Yeah. Jazakallah khair, brother Qamar. Same question to you.
Yes. I suppose the question was regarding the learning and the challenges.
Yeah, the biggest challenges, the top kind of 2-3 biggest challenges you've had, and how did you resolve them, kind of your learning?
Yes. The biggest challenge I faced this year is when I started working full-time on this idea of Entrepreneurship in January of this year. Now, because I was not exposed to the universe of startups, and all my life I've spent into learning and development and corporate trainings and stuff. So it was for the very first time I was exposed to this universe of startups. So when I started my journey, I realized that it's a whole new universe waiting out for me, and I have absolutely no idea about it. So what I did was, that was the biggest challenge I faced in January and February. So what I did was, I went on to YouTube and I watched relevant videos of startups, especially of Y Combinator and a lot of other channels. And you can say my January, February, March, and still I'm learning from the videos from the YouTube, and I would say that that was the biggest challenge I faced. Now because I have also a couple of advisors with me on board from Toronto as well, from USA as well. So how much equity I have to give them and what I have to expect from them in return. I have absolutely no idea about that, and that too I learned from the videos of YouTube. What's the global standard people are following, and how is the valuation calculated, and how do you work on the product? What is product management? And I've also ordered a couple of books on product management as well, and how to do this marketing stuff, social media, online. So you can say that the biggest challenge I'm still facing regarding learning about startups. And I still watch around 5 to 6 hours daily YouTube videos and learn from them, take notes, and try to understand the concepts behind each learning. And being a corporate trainer, what happens is you tend to think that you have got a lot of knowledge, you already know a lot of stuff, but that's where you have to break your ego and you have to say that no, I don't know anything about this. So that's where your learning journey starts. And I have come to realize that if you can teach someone how to learn, you don't have to teach them anything else. And I've learned everything from the YouTube, and that's the best source of learning, I would say. So that's the biggest challenge I've recently faced.
No, mashallah, that's excellent. In fact, any kind of young entrepreneur who is listening, this is this is absolutely true. That obviously no single person has all the ability or the kind of the knowledge as to how to go about, for example, doing things. And accepting the fact, knowing the fact that there is a learning opportunity, and aspiring to kind of learn about those particular areas is really great. And I'm sure people listening would really be inspired by this kind of focus which you are bringing back to really learning and development. So kind of like I said that we are not going to be doing a long show today. So we have a small little question from one of the brothers, Brother Abdullah. If I think this is for Brother Faisal, should we be doing, I think, BS in computer science, because the course outline here is, I really can't understand the question correctly, but because the course outline here is verse IG, so please guide. Can you make sense of the question, brother?
I can relate to that. Normally, they do ask this question. So I would say yes, any university which you can afford, you should certainly study in terms of doing your, BA computer science, even if it's a virtual university. The curriculum that they are teaching dates back at least 7, 8, 9 years, right? It's fine. You should, but I would say complement your studies. You can do that with us in Pakistan. We are charging 2,400 rupees on an annual basis for all the IT courses, which is nothing. So you're getting all the experience and everything. Get all the hands-on. I mean, my students, they have been successfully been able to pass those exams that I was able to do that in 6 months' time, and I thought like I've done a big thing. One of the students in Islamabad, beat me to it, and he passed his 3 exams, CISA, SISM, CRS, in just 2 months' time.
You're kidding me? You're serious?
Yes, he passed his CISM studying with me. His name is Sayyid Arsalan. We have his testimonial, and I passed long time ago, 20 years ago. I passed my CISA, my CISSP, SSC.
Yeah, people normally used to take in my days. I don't know. I think you're younger than me, but people used to take my days. These 3, they would take 1.5, 2 years.
Yeah. So even like, so you can imagine, the brains that we have, they're extremely phenomenal. We just have to guide them. So I would say, whatever you want to do, yes, do it. I would never advise you to leave your studies. No, do study. It is very important. Whatever university you can afford, it will come handy as long as it is validated and accepted. Obviously, don't go to any universities which are not accepted and recognized. And then do complement your courses with the ones that we are teaching and the ones that you feel that you can afford in terms of going for those exams, right? So do that, and inshallah you'll be successful. Once we open our own university, then I can say, yes, you can come over here and study, inshallah. That's not a problem.
And you're planning a proper 4-year degree because it has to be authorized by the ministries, right?
Well, basically, I wouldn't say 4 years because all the affiliations we are doing are from UK with UK, right? So UK NARIC has authorized us to do that, but we will issue up till PGD for the project, for the dissertation, or for the bachelor's project. It's going to be a BSc, an honors. You can do that 3 years and 4 years, just like in UK, which is offered. And there are 8 universities that we are working with, 2 from the top tier, 2 from the bottom, from the middle tier, and then basically 4 from the bottom tier, right? So you just have to pay them. The minimum you have to pay them is £2,000 in terms of getting a dissertation, but we will help you in terms of going through all the university faster in terms of getting it all done, right? So we are working on that, and then we will be investing, and as I said, we will be investing and we will be supporting a lot of scholarships, so on and so forth, right? And I don't like the word scholarship because it closes the door for those people who can't afford, right? So, or who are not able to perform at that specific time. So we say for us, like Islam was spread to Ashab Suf, it was not spread through the elite Sahabas per se. The elite Sahabas helped, obviously Abu Bakr, Umar, Usman, Ali, yes, but it was also the lower Sahabas, right, they were the ones like Abdullah ibn Masud, Abdullah, Ibn Az-Zubayr, these were the Sahabas like who were like Abu Hurairah, right? These were the Sahabas who were very poor, but they were exposed to that environment that they were able to, mashallah, excel because their teacher was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So our focus is to teach everyone, and that's why we are, we started Pashto, and Urdu was the one that we can train all the students of the Madaris in Pakistan, right? So that's where like heavily our students are coming from, and we say they can come in and they can start studying, and mashallah they excel. Mashallah they excel. One of my students, he has a brown beard. He belongs to Punjab, and he is in Germany, and he's now working in Abbott and Roche, right? I just guided him and I supported him and I told him this is what you need to do. Pass this exam. He did that. And I helped him in terms of drafting his statement, and he was able to get a full scholarship, to Germany. He went over there, and now he's working at Abbott and Roche, and he has been offered. He's doing his master's over there, and he has been offered industrial PhD and a over there as well. So, Muslims, especially the generation of the Muslims, the OIC citizens, 70% are youth. Can you imagine?
Correct.
I mean, it's a huge
population.
It's a huge labor pool. If these people know how to perform, there are more than 1 billion jobs being created right now because of automation. They don't have the talent in the West. There are more than 4 million jobs in cybersecurity. They don't have the talent. They're looking for talent, right? Even if we throw in the automation, there's still 4 million jobs. Just in cybersecurity, forget data science, AI, and other disciplines. Forget entrepreneurship. I mean, this is where you can create new solutions, right? So imagine what these guys can do. The OIC economy combined is a $30 trillion economy, $26 to $30 trillion economy. This is like the stagnant economy we're talking about, of these 57 countries. If you throw in automation, education, and everything, right, we can have Silicon Valleys throughout the OIC. And, like in the West, I'm going to close my arguments by saying this one thing. In the West, I don't normally quote, basically, honestly, if I can find a narration, I will always quote that narration rather than quoting someone else. But one of the things I learned in Stanford was to make a successful startup, you need 3 ingredients, right? You need a huge population. All the OIC countries are heavily populated, right? You need lots of issues. We have tons of issues. Not tons, but tons and tons and mega tons of issues, right? Yeah. Then you need a solution to resolve those issues. This is the reason that, and he was talking in the context of the States, right? 350 million population, tons of issues. You come up with a solution, you put everyone online, and then that's a successful startup, right? That's how they perceive it as a startup. So similarly, in the OIC countries in the Middle East, Asia, North Africa, Africa region, so on, Asia Pacific, South Asia. It's the same story. People are hungry in terms of getting successful. You guide them in an Islamic way. You tell them what those things are. Rasulullah, Sahaba came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when they migrated to Medina and they built this Riyasa, and they said like, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we need to do some some trade, do something about it. He said, okay, behind the Masjid al-Nabi, he said, okay, open a marketplace behind the Masjid al-Nabi. Marketplace, right? Go and do business. And then they came back and said, oh, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the market forces are going up and down, right? So do something about it. He said, no, that's Allah. I've opened a marketplace for you. Go and do your business. So our job at Anafe, we are trying to open a marketplace. We're training everyone. We're saying this is the marketplace. Get education, equip yourself, have the ideas, right? Infuse that, build the solutions. There's tons of opportunities in terms of selling those solutions in the West, right? This is where the market is. Obviously, wherever you have a solution. They used to, Umar bin Khattab was a successful merchant. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a successful merchant. They used to have these solutions, these products. They used to go to Syria, to other places, and they used to sell them. So we build solutions and we sell them digitally, right? And that's where our market is, in the West, in the Europe, and all over the place. So if we can train them, we guide them, they can be very successful. You don't have to do that, but be very, very successful. In my opinion.
No doubt. You're absolutely right, Brother Faisal. And we can actually go on and on in this conversation, but unfortunately, we are kind of strapped for time. I would request just kind of closing comments from Brother Qamar, kind of your concluding comments. How do you foresee things going on from here for Trainers Tribe? If you have any message for people.
Yes. Well, I always say this, that the future is always very bright, and you need eyes to see the bright future. And I would like to end this session by sharing with you my favorite quotation, and that is, it is not the mountain ahead that wears you out. It is not the mountain ahead that wears you out, but a grain of sand inside your own shoes that wears you out. So that's
and I can actually, being a kind of a moderate marathon or semi-marathon runner, I can ascribe to it very well. What happens to the foot if a grain of sand actually enters the shoe? Yeah, I can vouch to that. Jazakallah khair. Yes, Brother Faisal, any kind of closing comments you have? No closing comments, mashallah. Okay, you've said enough. Okay, Jazakallah khair. Okay, Jazakallah khair. I'm honored, both Brother Qamar, Brother Faisal. I'm honored. We are all honored at Life Deen and Islamic Youth Club International for hosting both of you. May Allah reward you for whatever you're doing. May Allah increase your risk. May Allah put barakah in your risk, inshallah, wherever you are. And you continue to benefit not only the Muslims, but the humanity at large, inshallah. That is our message. And to the audience, inshallah, we continue on our journey on Muslim entrepreneurship next week with new people, with new entrepreneurs who actually have struggled through, they are kind of focused towards the ERP domains this time. So whoever wants to know more about ERPs, how do you actually want to start up an ERP, startup, then you are actually more than welcome to join next week, same time. And inshallah, the last show on the 30th of September on this topic is going to be Islamic finance and entrepreneurship. So this is the last, because the funding constraint obviously always exists for Muslims, the halal ways of funding. So this is exactly what we are going to be targeting in the show on the 30th of September. So Jazakumullah khair, inshallah. See you next week. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.